All right, YouTube, there is an anecdotal update here regarding Yellowstone. Probably, I should say, first and foremost, Yellowstone is technically overdue for an eruptive event. Those come in various flavors: steam event, full supervolcanic eruption. We know that. As to whether it's near erupting, who can fucking tell? It could take another 10,000 years. We're talking about a very long time scale. So don't think that I'm just trying to rabble rouse here and get people all upset over Armageddon. But this does bear reporting on. Possibly, I would say, especially in light of all the earthquakes that have been happening in the last 72 hours. We saw Japan, Ecuador, fucking everything. Things are all fucked up at the epicenters of these earthquakes. There was one a few days ago in Burma. There was a fairly large one in Honduras, also Mexico. There was a period there where it looked like there was a bit of proliferation going on. There was one in Greenland, which is abnormal actually too. But the Shoshone River near Yellowstone has begun to boil, apparently, and emit a sulfuric odor. Now, what they're saying on this article, link in the description, is that it looks like a new vent has opened up. Now, that doesn't mean that an eruption is coming. It means that a new feature at this geologically very active region has actually emerged. Now, when you look at Yellowstone, a lot of people think, oh, it's a geyser. It's Old Faithful, and that's literally all they know. There are actually many thousands of different attractions there that show hydrothermic activity, that show essentially what Yellowstone is. You've got to remember, all of these different attractions are just the result of water essentially interacting with the underlying massive bubble of magma relatively close to the Earth's surface that could, blow up at any time. And there are two different flavors mainly of things that can happen: a steam event or a supervolcanic eruption. Now, I'm not even sure they know how often the steam events occur. They're far smaller. They wouldn't be world-ending. Even a full supervolcanic eruption, if it was a world-ending event, thered be no fucking life on the planet or anything beyond the unicellular stage. So I remain somewhat optimistic. It'd be fucked up, but it wouldn't be, I guess, a complete apocalypse. As far as the steam events, you're basically looking at anyone within the park when it goes off is fucked. They're going to get completely blasted apart by hot boiling steam and all of these other things flying through the air. Anyone outside of the park would probably be okay. They might get some ash fall, it'd kill their plants or whatever downwind, but they would be fine. But this river has apparently undergone some sort of weird hydrothermal change. I'll read part of it to you. The current consensus among geologists and other experts is that a portion of the Shoshone River began to boil, located near Cody, Wyoming, and a new Yellowstone vent has opened up. Now, when you're talking about a park with so many different vents and geysers and features, they didn't all just magically spring into existence on the same day. New things happened there once in a while, old geysers and so forth. Occasionally they're going to stop actually doing what they generally do. You could see a day in the future where Old Faithful stops erupting. There were also people saying that Yellowstone is now erupting more or less constantly, which I don't know historically. I know a lot of people, fearmongers, would say, oh, well, this is highly abnormal. Have you actually spent the last couple of decades continuously monitoring Yellowstone? If not, you don't know whether that's normal or abnormal. You just don't know. People said that the park sensors were down. For a while, the sensors on the main site were down, but the sensors were still working. It's just somehow other sites were hosting it at the time. That had people worried. You'd think, though, this is one thing I would say. The USGS and all of these others that deal with such a thing, you would think that they would give people forewarning. Yes, the sensor will be down today. Yes, the webcam will be down today. Because they know it's kind of a hot button issue with a lot of people that get very concerned and do prepping and so forth. You'd think they would do them the common courtesy of giving them forewarning or a decent, timely explanation of what the fuck's going on. I remember when they closed the park down and there were like cracks and steam appearing in the asphalt and little like pools of melted tar along the side of the road some months ago. What was concerning was not that that was happening so much as that nobody really wanted to talk about it. And I think that's a prevalent thing that's shared not just with those of us who are just casually interested in the topic, but also those that are. They're survivalists or they speak solely about such issues. There are a lot of very popular YouTube channels where every video made is some permutation of Yellowstone, Nibiru, UFOs in general, or some other Toba supervolcano or something like that. There are a lot of channels like that, and there are a lot of channels that cover a very large proportion of such material, along with like the political and the news-related current events, crime or whatever. I know Mary Greeley has a good channel, Dabu7, very good, BP Earthwatch, who appears to be more sporadically uploading videos. He could have another channel that he's operating, and I am not aware of that. Somebody can maybe cue me in. But the Shoshone River has experienced some sort of event. I'll read through a little more. Somebody claiming, I guess, to be an eyewitness. I've lived here all of my life and I've never seen it. I'm assuming I've never seen it like this. It was pretty impressive. The river right there is a really dark green with a polarizing filter. It really popped out. It bubbled like jets in a jacuzzi. I can imagine it would. You got to realize a few miles below the surface, you're basically standing on a giant ocean of magma. Now, I'm sure that people in in the general area are not too happy with the fact that if the crust underneath them were transparent suddenly, they would actually be able to see the magma below their feet, deep underneath that crust. Be a little bit disconcerting. For the rest of us, it's a few miles deeper, I suppose. But for them, it's relatively close to the surface. It's heating up that surface. It's warping things. It's causing steam to form. That's why you have these geysers. It's actually very funny that the science behind how such things operate is in its relative infancy. You really don't get much until the end of the 1800s. And really until the 50s through the 70s, you don't get any of the modern equipment. So they really, when science says, well, it'll never happen, it's not going to blow up anytime soon, they're assuming that that's the case. Now, that is certainly a better guess than, yeah, it's going to blow up tomorrow. It's far more mathematically likely. But they can't say that they know. They'll say, well, there's a 99.9% chance it's not going to blow up in the next 100 years. And that's about all they can do. It's really odds-making when you think about it, because they don't even particularly know exactly how an explosive event would occur at Yellowstone or in any other supervolcano. They're not exactly sure what the trigger would be. Decompression, a sudden collapse of the crust, something else. They're not exactly sure. So yeah, I guess concerning something, it's an update that certainly people should keep in mind. But is Yellowstone about to blow its top? Probably not. It could. Then again, if it does, for a lot of people, there's not going to be a whole lot of time to react. There's ultimately not a whole lot you can fucking do about it anyway. Even here, like far on the East Coast, the amount of ash we'd get would probably be suffocating. At least for some time. I imagine the garden wouldn't be looking too good after getting a couple of inches of heavy ash on it, kind of destroying the fertility of the soil. Have to go out there with a broom and sweep off all the tomato plants or something. I can imagine be at least a mild annoyance. That's about all. Peace out.